Hello. Today I'm going to talk about how we figure out our own development needs. Sometimes people come to me and they say, I don't really know what I need, but I know I need something. Which I always think is interesting, because how would you know that you need something if you have no idea what it is? And yet somehow we do. So we get a kind of overall sense that there's something missing, or there's something we could be doing better at, or maybe it's just a sense of I've kind of plateaued and I miss that sense of learning something new and creating something different in my life. So I started to think about this and I thought, well, there are some ways that we could figure out for ourselves what our development needs are. And the first thing is, are there any places in your life where you have to do something that you don't really like doing and that you have to kind of take a deep breath and steel yourself a little bit before you go and do it? Now, that could be talking to a difficult member of your team. It could be talking to a client that's particularly challenging. It could be a vendor who always negotiates really hard with you. But is there some kind of situation that you go into where you metaphorically or even physically take a deep breath before you go and do it? That kind of suggests that maybe you're not performing at your best. So that could be an area where there's something that you could learn to develop that would make a difference. Moving on from that, have a think about, are there any places in your life where you do something that you absolutely love doing, but you have the sense that you're not great at it? So it might be something that you're just beginning to start doing. It could be something that you've got a little bit of experience of and you really enjoy it, and yet you still feel like an amateur. I guess that's quite an obvious area where there's clearly some space for development. Because development's not about necessarily plugging the gaps in your skills. Often it's about building on the skills you already have. In fact, I think really that's what we should be focusing on. I've never been that keen on the kind of development appraisal that looks at your competence across a range of things and homes in on the stuff that you're not very good at, and then puts all the energy and attention into raising your game in that area from not very good to not too bad. That seems to me like a waste of everybody's time and energy. I'd much rather pick the areas where a person is doing really well, but could actually be completely outstanding with a little bit of time and effort. So what are the areas for you where you're already doing quite well, or even doing extremely well, but you still have the sense that you haven't reached your full potential? Because that in its own way is a development need. And finally, another area for you to think about. Are there any things that you have never done? Things that you've perhaps thought would be beyond you or that you had no interest in, but somehow they keep cropping up in your life? Maybe something like that is an opportunity for you to learn something new. Maybe it just comes up into your conscious awareness regularly because on some level, actually, you do really want to learn it, even though you're perhaps saying to yourself, oh, that's not for me. I'm not the sort of person that does that. Perhaps undertaking something like that would be a real expansion, not just of your skills, but also of your sense of who you are. So there you have it, a few things that you can have a look at in your life to see if you can figure out your own development needs. We all keep needing to develop. When you stop developing, then everything becomes very dull. In fact, they say if you stop learning, that's when you begin to die. I think that's a little extreme, but I do think it's truly life-enhancing to keep developing yourself.